What's up, everyone? Playing more Supreme Vintage Cube draft today. So I'll try to talk a little bit more about the archetypes in this format and make some adjustments from the last video. Definitely taking Black Lotus. I'm gonna not take lands as highly this draft. I've had a few drafts recently where I just end up with too many mana sources, where my deck has like 20 or even 21 mana sources, and that's just not a good place to be. You just flood out too often. But starting with the Lotus, you want to pick up like some permanents, like Jace the Mind Sculptor or other Planeswalkers. You could also go into combo, but I don't really like playing combo in the format. So the card I like the most is Brazen Borrower. Now, Mana Crypt, that's pretty much an auto include. And then there's a couple good blue spells, Repeal and Jace. Repeal is always going to be solid. Jace it gets a lot better if you have Time Walk. It gets a lot better if you have Ancestral or Thoughtseize type cards. So this card is, a lot of times you want to pick it up later once you know that you have those cards that combo with it. I don't really like Treachery in the format. I think Bribery is really great, but Treachery is a little too reactive and slow. And this is kind of a tough pick, but I think it is between Repeal and Jace, and I'll just take the Repeal because it's always going to be good. Demonic Tutor is one of the best black cards you can get. It's really good with Time Walk, and sometimes you have other powerful effects that you really want to get out of your deck, but it's mostly really good when you have a few different powerful effects to get, and then you get to choose between them depending on the circumstance. It's really good in combo as well, so I will keep my eyes out for combo, but just in general, I don't think it's the best. I do think I have to take the Demonic Tutor here. And the other options, there are 3 fetch lands. I think you generally want to take the blue ones. And then there's also Time Spiral, which would be okay in a combo deck. And then Inkwell Leviathan. I actually like speculating on that sometimes because you can get Tinker, and I really like Leviathan as a Tinker target. But given that I just took the Demonic Tutor and I want to play 2 colors, I think this is a good time to take our first land. There is a fast mana card here, Mana Vault, which is quite strong. It's not really on the level of Mana Crypt or Moxen, but it's just outside of that. And given that it is early in the draft, I think it is worth it to take it. And then I will take Steam Vents. I always want to get a blue-red duel and a blue-black duel because I think those are the best colors to go into generally. And I'm not passing much here. I don't really like playing any of these other cards. Okay, there's a white Mox. And here's the Underground Sea, which I would like to get. And then there's a few solid cards, Muldrifter and Ponder, both really solid. It's looking like we have more fast mana than average to start out the draft, so that's going to make me lean towards trying to get into the artifact archetype. I think Monastery Mentor would be good in that deck, and maybe I could take that. I actually do have Mox Pearl and I have Flooded Strand. So I will pass the Underground Sea, and I'll take an action card here. So kind of a close pick, and I don't think I would have made that pick if I didn't have the white mana sources already. So from these cards, I'm looking at Snapcaster, Cloudskate, and Unholy Heat. Hero of Bladehold is really good with Black Lotus, but I'm not desperate for Black Lotus targets yet. Snapcaster is a lot like Baby Jace. It really gets better based on having a few cards in your deck, but I think it's generally pretty strong. Then for the next pick, I don't think I need to take Unholy Heat, although I do like it in the format. It's pretty easy to get Delirium, because you usually get a lot of fetch lands and cantrips and so on. So I do like that card, but I'm not going to move into red just for Unholy Heat. So I will take the blue card. So here's Hullbreaker Horror. I don't think I got the chance to talk about it last time, but it's a really strong win condition. It's not that hard to cast because you have stuff like Black Lotus and Mana Crypt, and it can't be countered, which is a big deal in this format. And it actually lets you go infinite if you have 2 Moxen, or let's say if you have a Mox Pearl and a Mana Vault. You can play one from your hand, bounce the other one from in play, and then tap the one that comes into play, and then play the one you bounced, tap that one, and you basically just keep bouncing. You keep using the artifacts to bounce each other while tapping for mana, and you get infinite mana. And then you can use that to cast like a Karn or in Ulamog or something that's colorless, and you can just exile all their permanents, or it's pretty easy to win the game from there. So this is one of the cards I was looking for when I started with 4 pieces of artifact mana. So that's good. Now we kind of have a direction to go. And now this is kind of interesting. There's another strong white card, Fractured Identity, and I think I'll take it. I think it's probably better than Miscalculation. Miscalc is okay, but it doesn't always counter something in this format where everyone has lots of fast mana. Balance is also okay. It's good against some decks, and if I really end up in the artifact deck, it might be good, but I'll take Fractured Identity. Okay, there's a Mox. We take the Mox. And so here's an Urza, so that would be the start to our Artifacts Matter synergies. And it's not competing with too much else. Palace Jailer is fine, but I think a lot of times it's going to sit in your hand, and getting double white is definitely not super easy. So yeah, Urza, I'm always impressed with this card. It's a way to go off with Hullbreaker Horror too. If you have infinite colorless mana, you just keep activating Urza's ability. Okay, now we see the Tolarian Academy, and we're basically halfway through the draft, so that's a good point to take it. I already have 5 artifacts, 5 cheap artifacts. We can definitely pick up more, so now I can start prioritizing those, and I can really cast big mana spells if I want to. And then I have a pretty tough pick, actually. There are some really strong high-end cards here. Sphinx, Ugin, Battlesphere, and then even Stormcaller and Thirst for Discovery I would be happy to have in my deck. But when I do have the Hullbreaker Horror combo, I do like to have one big threat that costs colorless mana, like the Karn I already mentioned, or Ugin. So I think I do want to take either Ugin or Myr Battlesphere, and it's pretty close. I actually do not know which one is better. They're also both really good with mana drain if I get that. So I will try the Ugin. Here's Narset, which is a really important card in this format. Just everyone's trying to draw cards. So even if you don't get the Time Twister combo, Narset is just great on its own. I'll definitely take that. And then I don't want to take Strip Mine because my mana is already going to be stretched a little bit. And then I think I passed the Duretti too, just because I have 2 good white cards. I would rather not go into red. And I don't think I need the Duretti. I've got Fractured Identity, which is good board control, and then Mentor can finish the game. So I'm kind of trying to not get in red. Maybe if I open DAC, though, I'll have to take it. And so I want to take like Solemn or Brainstorm here. Kind of a close pick, but I actually don't mind Solemn in these decks with the fast mana in the Tolarian Academy. I've seen Ashiok be decent in this cube. It is a threat that the opponent will need to remove, and it's not always easy to attack down an Ashiok in this cube. A lot of decks just have only a few creatures in them. So this pack is actually fairly weak. It has some double white cards that I don't want to take. It has some lands that I don't really need, Blood Crypt, Spire Bluff Canal. And then it has Dig Through Time, which is fine, but it's not amazing in our deck. We only have 1 fetch land. But so I think I will take the Ashiok. We'll see how that goes. And then I think I just take the Dig Through Time. I do want some card draw, so we'll see if this card can get a little bit better. I'm also missing some counter spells, and I have the chance to take a Spell Pierce here. There's also a black fetch land, and there's a Fallen Shinobi. I kind of want to try Fallen Shinobi. I have a decent amount of creatures, and I do have the black mana. I think I'll start with that. And then there's some artifacts to go with the Tolarian Academy, but I don't like these ones. We're not really a Thran Dynamo deck. Even though we do have a 7 and 8 drop, we don't really need to play cards like Thran Dynamo to get up to those. So I think I just take the black fetch, even though at the moment it does not fetch anything for us. Actually, no, it does fetch Steam Vents. Okay, nice. So that's actually, it's a blue-black duel, technically. I'm happy to take that over Spell Pierce. Here's another blue fetch, Baleful Strix, which will be good against the creature decks. There's not many creature decks, but there are some, and it's good with Fallen Shinobi. And then Portent is just a fine card. Echo of Aeons will combo with our Narset. Toxic Deluge, also good against the creature decks. So now would be another good time to look at my mana. I have 9 mana cards, 15 spells, and I have this pack and 5 more after it. So I'm doing okay on playables, but I still do want to not take lands too highly. Seen Echo of Aeons be good, but I don't think it's for us. It really only goes with the Narset. I think I want to take Baleful Strix and then Portent. Okay, there's the Time Walk. Happy to get that. And now here's Tundra, which would help the mana a little bit. I like Expansion Explosion a little bit. I think it's just playable in any blue-red deck. Like, sometimes the game stalls and then Explosion becomes really good because you can easily get up to like 10 mana. But then Expansion is also just randomly good. You can copy your Time Walk, or you can just copy an opponent's counter spell. I think it's versatile enough to just go in almost any blue-red deck. Now here I can take Path to Exile, and that will be my second instant speed interaction spell. I already have Brazen Borrower, but there's also Click. It goes with Shinobi. It's just good interaction. So yeah, I have a hard time passing that. Now we open Mox Diamond, which I don't play it that often just because these decks are filled with artifact mana and they don't have that many lands in them. So it's kind of hard to discard a land. But if I have like 2 draw 7s in my deck, then I'm definitely going to play Mox Diamond because it's just too good. But I think this is not the Mox Diamond deck. Shipwreck Marsh would be fine to help my mana a little bit. And then there's Mystical and Sower. Mystical is okay in this deck. It can get Time Walk. It's definitely, try to avoid playing Mystical Tutor. I think it's really a combo card. So I want to take the land, and then maybe honestly just take the Sower. It will be good in the creature matchups. But maybe I'll start it in the sideboard. Okay, Mox Jet, I'm happy to see on-color Mox. Spellseeker gets Time Walk and Demonic, which is pretty solid. And then there are some okay lands, but yeah, I'll take the Spellseeker. Here's a decent Signet. Azorius Signet will help us cast some spells, and it goes well with our Academy. Let's see, I have 11 cards that make mana, so I have 20 spells right now in the main deck. I want to pick up like roughly 3 more, but I get to see this pack and then 1 more, so I do have time. I can take 1 Mana Source basically. And yeah, I actually like taking Signet and Karn here, and then we're kind of a big mana deck. We're missing some card draw, but I'm just not seeing the card draw. Ancestral Vision, I just don't like that card. I think it's a little bit too slow. Okay, awesome. We find Ancestral Recall with the very last pack. And Oko would be solid in this deck, even though our 3-drop spot is pretty full. And we do have Mox Emerald, but yeah, I think our mana is not going to get there on Oko. So we picked up Ancestral as a card draw spell, which is really strong. But now we have the option to pick up Coercive Portal or even Dark Confidant as 2 other card draw spells. This is not the best Confidant deck, just because I do have these 5 drops, 7 drops, and an 8 drop. And even Dig Through Time. So yeah, this Dark Confidant would be very painful in this deck. I would like to get a spell here, not a land. So we're actually missing counter spells in this deck, which is rare. Don't have a single counter spell. So that makes Torrential Gearhulk a lot worse. Otherwise, I actually like Gearhulk in this format because you have so much mana and it can do powerful things like get back Ancestral Recall. But I think I want to just take Coercive Portal here. I was looking at the Infernal Grasp, because I do like having creature removal, but I feel very comfortable against creatures with this deck. We have Karn, Ugin, Baleful Strix, Brazen Borrower. We do have, even though we don't have like a removal spell, we have a lot of things that deal with creatures. So let's look at how the deck is filled out. So I ended up taking out Ashiok and Dig Through Time. Basically, the Ashiok is on the splash, and I want to limit that splash, and it's not going to be good against the decks that don't have creatures, so I think it's better in the sideboard, and we just don't need help winning the game. This deck has so many win conditions in it. It has a lot of good creatures, Monastery Mentor, Urza, Shinobi. It's really got so many win conditions. And then Dig Through Time, I think, is a little slow when I have these 7 and 8 drops already. Like, that's what I want to be doing in the late game instead of just drawing more cards. So that's what I went with, and let's go play the first round. Here we are for the first round. This hand needs to hit a few cards, but I think it's good enough to keep. Should be able to cycle this Repeal and then use the Time Walk to see some more cards, and then the Academy should eventually be good. I just need to find one artifact to start. Opponent is playing green. I'll fetch with the Bloodstained Mire because it only has one target left in the deck. So I would like to get that Steam Vents out of the deck before I draw it. And Flooded Strand, yeah, I can use that to get my planes. Okay, so new plan. We're going to wait on the Repeal. I'm going to need to use it on an Urza Saga token. Oh, wow. Okay, they really have a fast start. Yeah, I really like Karn and Urza Saga in this format. I need double blue, but I also am going to need this plains. So I'm hoping to draw one of my Moxen or something. Okay, Lotus. Yeah, that's what I was hoping to draw at some point. So I think I just go Mentor Lotus here. And then I will pass the turn. I'm going to save this Lotus mana for next turn and try to have a... Maybe I can play Urza in Coercive Portal and start getting enough monks to take down this Karn. Okay, yeah, my opponent is pretty locked into using their mana on Urza Saga on the following turns. So currently, I have access to 7 mana, although it's actually 8 because I can go Urza and then I can tap the Construct, and then that can get my Coercive Portal. Okay, yeah, I think I have to do that. Let's see. There's no way to... I think I do play the Academy, but there's no way for me to get Urza in play and then still have the Black Lotus in play for the Academy. Cast Urza. So now I can actually just tap my Black Lotus for blue mana, or I can just get the portal into play. Kind of like getting the portal into play. This is an interesting position. I also kind of like using Vendilion Clique to take down the Karn. Yeah, this is... Okay, I'm not going to put the portal into play. I'm going to Portent and just see what my options are. Okay, it's gonna be, yeah, these are great. I cannot pass on Ancestral Recall. Okay, there's the next construct. So I think I will have to draw step Clique here. Kind of want to wait till the end of the turn, but I don't think that makes sense. They are going to be limited on mana. This Urza Saga is going to be popping. Okay, so they do have some strong cards here. So it just depends on whether or not they have Black Lotus in their deck. I'm not worried about Sneak Attack or Channel. Glenalendra would certainly be a problem. Well, I would say there's about a 50% chance that they have Black Lotus in their deck. I think that's how the math works out. The cube is about 540 cards, and you get to open 18 packs of 15, which is 225 plus 45. So you get to open 270 cards. So yeah, that's exactly half of 540. I think it's a 540 count cube, but anyways, yeah, it's roughly 50% that your opponent's going to have any Power 9 card, because cards like Black Lotus or Time Walk, they never get passed. They always end up in your opponent's deck. So yeah, I wanted to take the Archmage there, even though I guess they would not have been able to have the blue mana up to counter my Ancestral and Portal that are coming, but it would be able to block my Clique, which is also a bit of a problem. So hopefully we don't get punished for that. I see Channel in their deck, so it makes me think that they have some Eldrazi. Well, I see Sneak Attack as well, so yeah, it looks like they're playing an Eldrazi combo deck. So they fetched Mox Sapphire out of their deck, and now they've gotten a Volcanic Island from the Karn. So let's see what we can do. I mean, we're facing down 3/6/6 constructs, and they're going to make another construct with Urza next turn. And we are always at risk of them drawing an Eldrazi to Sneak Attack. Okay, now we have Hullbreaker Horror. So do we have the mana to cast that? I feel like we must. Let's see what happens here. So yeah, I think we actually have lethal this turn, unless they have a counterspell. Although, okay, no, I don't think we have quite enough mana. Academy taps for 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for Hullbreaker Horror. Then I can tap the Construct for 1 more. Yeah, we're missing 1 mana. I need to be able to cast this Signet. So we're not quite there. Now I can cast Signet and Portal, and that's going to pump up my monks, but I don't really think I want to do that. think I just want to pass and play my Hullbreaker Horror down, and then... Oh, did they draw a click? No, Shark Typhoon. Okay, so they're gonna... Their Karn is gonna be surviving here. So yeah, that's the dangers of using click. I tried to prevent my opponent from blocking, but I actually drew them into this Shark Typhoon. But that's okay. The Hullbreaker Horror was a really good draw. It can block construct tokens and it can bounce them as well. So as long as nothing crazy happens here with sneak attack or channel, we should be okay. I think we might be able to win here on the attack back. Do have mana open. They have 2 unknown cards in hand. But I don't want to use all of my monks yet. Narset. Okay, that's not really doing much. And it looks like they missed. Okay, let's play the horror, and yeah, I think we should be able to hit for 18 here. Already got 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, plus the prowess triggers here. Okay, nice. Sower might be decent. If they channel out an Eldrazi, Sower would be okay. It's also good against the constructs. So I could bring that in. I'll bring it in for Solemn and we'll see. This hand is not amazing, but I like Brazen Borrower in the matchup. It bounces the constructs. And if we draw into black mana, the Shinobi's going to be good. Wow, they have a turn 1 Oko, so that will probably be fairly hard to beat. Ancestral, yeah, this is definitely good enough. So yeah, we will really have to go over the top when they start with turn 1 Oko. And they have Narset, so going to be forced to cast this Brazen Borrower next turn. Yeah, there's not much I can do. I need to take this Narset down. Otherwise, my hand is just not going to work. I'm really relying on Ancestral to draw me into some more fast mana and eventually get to a place where I can match what they're doing on the board. But it's most likely going to be a bit too slow, just given that they have Karn to add some more big creatures to the battlefield. So I could also take out the Karn, and then I can wait on the Narset to take it out next turn. But then this turn, I wouldn't have a great way to use my mana. Let's see. Next turn, I want to play Karn Liberated. I think I need to use Ancestral, because one of the ways I can win is to find Time Walk here. It looks like I'm really far behind, and I am, but sometimes you can do pretty crazy things in this format. We found Black Lotus. Does that let me play Karn? Okay, so what I can do is play out the Lotus. Now I have 6 mana. Then I play out the Mana Vault. Now I have access to 8 mana. So, okay, I actually would have liked to do this in a little bit different order, but I can repeal the Construct token. I would have liked to see what I drew. Okay, now I drew Fractured Identity. So, what can I do? I can either play Karn or I can play Fractured Identity here. I think Karn is better. Just because if I don't play the Karn, then next turn I'll only have 4 mana, and I'm going to be very far away from playing this Karn. So now I need to take out one of the Planeswalkers. And I think it has to be the Oko. The Oko is just much harder to kill with my Brazen Borrower, so I'll take that one down. It also makes creatures that can attack right away, because they could use it on... They could turn this food into an elk and attack me right away, where I'm not really worried about the Karn making another token. I could Snapcaster Mage it, or Snapcaster Mage plus Repeal. So I'm actually coming back into this game slowly. We are going to lose our Karn. But next turn I have Snapcaster Mage plus Repeal, or Fractured Identity if I draw an untapped mana source. They're going to attack down my Karn, I imagine. And I'm at 13 life. And I do draw a land, and a black land even. So now I need to decide. I could Fractured Identity to steal the Karn, but I actually think just doing the repeal line on the Construct token is better. Yeah, this is really showing the power of repeal in this format. And I draw Demonic Tutor. Okay, so I guess I'm going to fetch for my black now. They're going to gain life off the food. But yeah, I have really strong late game now. And I can tutor for Time Walk. And we'll see if they have another strong Planeswalker. There's a chance that I can use Fractured Identity to resolve it, and that looks like what happens here, not a Planeswalker, but Sphinx, which does need to get answered, so... Okay, I do draw an untapped land, so I can Fallen Shinobi plus Time Walk. Wow, very interesting. I can attack with both. They'll probably block the Brazen Borrower. Then I'll return Snapcaster Mage to my hand with Fallen Shinobi. They'll take 5, go to 13, then I'll Time Walk. And then next turn, I'll attack them down to 8 with my Fallen Shinobi, and I'll play Snapcaster Mage, and I'll copy Time Walk, and I'll play Baleful Strix. Okay, this is a little bit risky, but I think I'm going to go for this play. I think it has a low downside. They could block the Snapcaster Mage here. They might see what's up. And they did actually probe me earlier in the game, but I'm not sure if they saw the Fallen Shinobi. But you see, even if they do this, it's a low downside. I just lose my Snapcaster Mage, that's fine. The upside was that I pretty much win the game there, because I would have had exact damage by playing Snapcaster Mage plus Baleful Strix. But anyways, we'll do the simple play. We'll just take out their Sphinx and just continue on. Wormcoil. Okay, that is a bit of an issue, but Sower should be a very clean answer, and we might. I'm guessing we can get to lethal here. Yeah, we have lethal just with our flyers, so okay, that was a really awesome match. Here we are for round 2. We're on the play, and we're going to have access to 3 mana on turn 2, and we have a Spellseeker. So I'm going to keep this hand. It's a little bit awkward because we have Karn and Ugin. Definitely don't love having those in the opening hand, but I have turn 2 Spellseeker that can get Ancestral Recall. So really what I'm looking for in these starting hands is some fast mana or an Ancestral Recall, which can draw me into that fast mana. Really have to mulligan a lot. You don't have a turn 1 play. My opponent just having a tap land is pretty slow. Now playing this portal would be really nice if I had an untapped land here, but we don't, so that's okay. I'll just get the best instant or sorcery. From my deck, and that's definitely just going to be Ancestral. Really just trying to draw into more mana. These decks really play out like ramp decks, but they don't look like the mono green ramp decks that you're used to seeing in Cube. It's really more about drawing cards and putting like Moxen into play. Okay, so opponent was sandbagging a Mana Crypt, so they're getting on board now. Definitely looks not bad. So let's see if I can draw into some more mana and then maybe put this portal down. Not amazing to draw another 7-drop, but okay, we draw into Academy. That's amazing. So I can actually play Karn here. I'm close to going off with Hullbreaker Horror. I might be able to do it next turn. So I have 7 mana. And yeah, I think I'll just get the Karn down. Now I need to decide what to do with this Karn. I think I do need to minus. I'm not exactly sure what to take out. I think I take the Urza out. Kind of a close decision there. But I like leaving the Construct in play because I can bounce it with my Horror, or I can maybe deal 3 damage to it with my Ugin. Okay, it looks like my opponent's holding up maybe a Venser or a Counterspell, but I do have the option to just win the game here. So I think I'm just going to go for that. I'm going to force them to counter one of these plays. Okay, they're just going to concede. Nice. So the plan there was I could play my Portal or my Portent, and then I can bounce a Mox to my hand, and then I can do the Mox bouncing loop with Hullbreaker Horror. I can get infinite mana. I can infinitely bounce Karn or Ugin, and I can just remove all of their permanents, or I can just keep lightning bolting them to the face to win the game. It's a really slow combo, but it does win the game. So we're playing against an Urza deck. So Sower is decent. Ashiok would even be decent. I'm on the draw, so sometimes I like to try to make my deck a little bit faster when I'm on the draw, if it's possible. But I think I like my deck how it is. Notably, we have no fast mana, which is actually a bit of a problem. But I don't really mulligan Ancestral Recall hands. There's a really, I mean, I have, I think 5 or 6 fast mana cards in the deck, so there's a really good chance I'll draw into one with my draw step plus the Ancestral. Okay, my opponent has a really fast start themselves, and they have Teferi. I'm going to go for Ancestral now. So unfortunately, we have missed. So I can either play a Signet, or I can use Petty Theft. I think using Petty Theft is slightly better. Just kind of try to tie up my opponent's mana more. I don't necessarily need the extra mana from the Signet. My best play might be just Brazen Borrower into Shinobi. Okay. Sphinx, so they're going up huge on cards. Now I have access to 5 mana this turn with my Mana Vault, and I have to keep in mind that they have Teferi in hand. Definitely going to really need things to break perfectly for me to win this game. I think the best thing to do is just start getting my artifacts onto the battlefield, and one of my best draws is going to be Tolarian Academy. Will let me play my Karn a little bit faster. I do feel like I need to get on board this turn. I don't think I can just play the Mana Vault and wait till next turn to play Karn. There's too high of a chance that my opponent will just have a counter spell up or something like that. So I feel like I need to get these 2 creatures into play here and just get pressure into play that can attack the Teferi, or at least stop them from plussing the Teferi. So now they have Narset, will stop me from drawing extra cards, and they have Daze. So that's going to make Karn a little bit harder to cast. But they're basically going to have infinite cards. because of this Consecrated Sphinx. I'm not sure exactly my plan. Maybe untapping Mana Vault was the best idea there. Okay, they have Little Teferi and Big Teferi. So my opponent's deck definitely looks great. They have, I think these are two of the best Planeswalkers in the cube. 5 mana Teferi is fine. I don't think it's as good as these cheaper ones. Consecrated Sphinx is going to work quite well against my deck. Yeah, I think the goal here is just casting Ugin. So next turn I'll have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mana. The problem with casting Demonic Tutor here is that they'll just cast Daze. So I'm going to wait and maybe I can double spell next turn. Maybe I can bait out the counter on the Demonic Tutor and then I can resolve Ugin. It seems really unlikely, but we will go for it. Okay, it looks like we're getting Narset Time Twistered here. They have Mystical Tutor for Time Twister. I haven't seen Time Walk yet out of their deck, so that's a good sign. I do have that advantage, and they're not even casting the Time Twister. And they still have the Daze. And it looks okay, right, they can play instant speed Time Twister. Oh, that's really smart. So now I don't get any cards. Okay, well, that's gonna wrap that game up. I feel like Ashiok is decent against this opponent. They don't have a ton of creatures, so I might be able to just exile some of their win conditions with the Ashiok. It seems like the kind of card that's good in the matchup, so I'll just take out Solemn. I think that's probably the most interchangeable card. I don't want to rely on these expensive Planeswalkers when I'm playing against a deck that I assume has counterspells. This hand looks pretty strong. I need to remember to watch out for Daze this game. So I can Coercive Portal, play Tolarian Academy, play Time Walk. That seems pretty good to me. The Time Walk is open to being dazed, but that would be fine with me. That I would be setting them back on an island. Okay, now we've got Tolarian Academy Hullbreaker Horror, so maybe we can cast that pretty soon. Okay, I probably should not have played that island. I'm going to take the Emerald to start. Wow, they don't have any fast mana. They discard Plains and Time Twister. Okay, so we're off to a really fast start. Now this turn I have 1, 2, 3, 6. I have 7 mana. I will minus the Narset. I'm looking for Karn would be really good, but okay, we'll take the Mana Crypt. So I have infinite mana right now. Okay, and now I still have Hullbreaker Horror up. So I do need to draw into a spell to go infinite with it, but... So they have their own Narset. But I think they're going to need to find Black Lotus or something. They find Swords to Plowshares, so that's really good against Hullbreaker Horror. But that's okay with me. I'm still going to play this down. Okay, that was enough. So that match really shows how it all comes down to fast mana in this game. Even my opponent having a turn 1 Ancestral Recall and Time Twister Narset, they were just unable to overcome me having Mana Vaults, Emerald, Mana Crypt, and especially Tolarian Academy has really been MVP so far. Here we are for the final round. This deck has been pretty fun to play so far. It's really a perfect deck. I think it's missing some counter spells, but besides that, it has all the powerful cards you want. And I think this hand is good enough to keep. Bloodstained Mire can get Steam Vents. Okay, another blue-green opponent, so we're going to be looking out for Oko. I expect them to have. And Time Walk is definitely good in those decks. And Urza Saga as well, and it looks like they're holding mana up here. So definitely expecting to see a counterspell. So I don't really want to play into the counterspell. So I will just play a Signet. It looks like they may have been F6'd. So this may have been a bit of a wasted turn, but not so much, because if I wanted to play the Spellseeker, I would have had to tap my Mana Vault. So now I still have access to my Mana Vault this turn. And now if my opponent wants to cast their counterspell, they're going to have to forgo this second phase of Urza Saga. They're going to have to not make their token. So if that happens, then so be it. Now, I do have access to a lot of mana. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. I have 8 mana here. So I can actually just Hullbreaker Horror if I wanted to. Feels like that has to be pretty good when facing this much mana. This much open mana. And I will actually get to ambush their construct. So I feel pretty good about this scenario, and I can just get Hullbreaker Horror down, and then I can even bounce my own Mana Vault after I tap it so that I can unlock it again. And then maybe I'll use Spellseeker to get Time Walk. It might be better than Ancestral Recall at this point. Okay, so I have to play my instance now. So I will not be getting to ambush. But I think I will take this repeal line. And I'll just not let them have that Teferi. I'll bounce it back into their hand. So I have some options now. I have 6 mana, but I can also bounce the Mana Vault. So that means I technically have 8 mana. So I can Spellseeker, Monastery Mentor, and Time Walk. Play the Mentor first. Bounce this Mana Vault. Now I get a trigger. Now I get to return another thing. Now I'll bounce their construct. Now I have 2 blue mana and 3 colorless mana. And this should be lethal. Yeah, it's got to be lethal. Hullbreaker Horror is a nice combo with Monastery Mentor Prowess, because you can do the Mox Loop and just get infinite Prowess triggers. So I do think this Hullbreaker Horror combo is pretty much the most powerful combo you can do in this cube. It's kind of the Splinter Twin of Supreme Draft. Oh wow, so they have Counterspell. Not bad. Okay, they're gonna stay in this game. And I'm not going to be able to use the rest of my mana. So let's see what they're able to do from here. I know they still have Teferi in hand. Okay, Control Magic is a pretty good start. And I basically just have to do the Time Walk line. Time Walk plus Mentor is insanely powerful. If this resolves, I feel like I still should be able to win the game. They're going to go to 8. Now, can I play 2 spells here? Oh, I don't even need 2 spells. Just the 1 is enough, but we'll do this anyways. Nice. Okay, we got that one. Control Magic is really good to know about. So I'll just play the deck how it was. 2 Moxen is nice, but we need some blue mana. I'll mulligan. And this hand is fine. We need to find some artifacts for the Academy. And I'll just put back the Shinobi, because I don't want to force myself to find black mana for it. The Shinobi has been disappointing. I haven't been able to use it yet this entire draft. I'm still not sure how good it is. Might have to cycle this repeal on that Mox as well. Turn 1 Tinker. Okay. Yeah, I don't have any 0 mana counters in this deck. So that is probably going to do it. Wow. Okay. They got me with the Blightsteel Colossus. So that makes me want to bring in Sower. It's just a great answer to Blightsteel Colossus. So we'll run the deck, take out Solemn, bring in Sower. This hand looks great. This is a great Time Walk hand because I have Mentor. I could win pretty quickly with that. But I feel like I need to draw some cards as well, because I don't even have the white mana for the Mentor, so I feel like this is a Spellseeker into Ancestral Recall. And we could be in a rough position if this Recall gets countered. We do need some more colored mana. So we draw the Steam Vents, that's a good start. But yeah, I think I just want to have as many options as possible. So I'll fire that off. Now we still have not found the white mana for the Mentor, but we found Narset. Okay, I do not have double blue for Narset, that's right. But I'll cast Portent, and we do find the Time Walk. I'm going to have to keep that. Mystical, interesting. Wonder what they will get. I can Karn plus Time Walk next turn, so they're going to need to do something to stop that. If they cast Time Twister, it might work out decent for them. Okay, no, they're just getting Ancestral Recall. That makes a lot of sense. And they suspend Ancestral Vision. But they're going to need to have Force of Negation here. Pretty interesting spot. I could just play Karn and play Time Walk. That would be pretty good. The other option is to Vendilion Click in Time Walk. Feels a little bit worse, though. And I'm just going to attack their mana. They have lots of cards, but I just want to constrain them on mana. Now I'm going to draw Urza. And I'm not sure how my opponent can get out of this, but I think generally, the best way to lock these positions up is to just put Narset down. Usually the opponent needs to draw cards to get out of these positions. But now Narset is going to stop them from drawing cards. And I was able to draw Black Lotus. So now I have the Vendilion Clique plus Narset combo. So this Vendilion Clique can put a card on bottom, and then they will not draw their second card for the turn. So let's see what's in their hand. 3 Azorius gold cards. They can only cast 2 of them. Now, really, the Fractured Identity, that's how they're going to get out of this game, is with Fractured Identity. But I feel like they might just not be able to cast it. So let's just take the Urza, and I'll continue to exile their mana with Karn. Now they can play Teferi Time Raveler and probably bounce my Construct token, which will be a decent play. But they really need to have some strong draws to come back from this. I'll take out the Azorius Signet. I've used my Time Walk. I've used all of my powerful cards that Demonic Tutor fetches for, but what else is there that's in my deck? Maybe another Planeswalker. I think I have Snapcaster Mage. Now I can Snapcaster Time Walk. And I am slowly dying to my artifact mana, but it should be to the point where I won't die from it. But I'm keeping an eye on that. Luckily winning some flips. Draw a Cloud Skate. Now I can bounce a land to my opponent's hand. Then I can exile this Plains. And then I can let them take their turn. There we go. Pretty perfect Supreme draft. You have to get a little bit lucky to open all of the best Power 9 cards like we were able to do there, but that was pretty fun. So thank you for watching. See you next time.